I'm a 35-year-old woman. I got a younger brother, 23, James, and an older sister, 38, Jessie. Our father passed away due to an accident when we were small, and our mom raised us alone. We didn't struggle or anything. My father left a good-sized estate, plus the insurance money. Recently, our mother had a health scare with cancer. It turned out to be benign, but she still wanted to make sure her affairs are in order. About a week ago, she sat us all down to tell us how she had divided her estate, our father's estate and all inheritance. I was a bit outraged to hear Jessie was getting more than James and me. Jessie isn't married and doesn't have any children. She has a rabbit. I have 4 kids and James has 2. I felt like we needed the money more than Jessie. Mom was even giving her the house. Jessie doesn't need the big house all to herself and rabbit. I told my mom how I felt and suggested that Jessie get less. James and I have kids, spouses, and more expenses than her. I have twins, and she has a rabbit. I told Mom she shouldn't get the house and all that money. Instead, I suggested Mom put a clause in her will that states if my sister doesn't get married or has a child within a certain amount of time, she gets nothing. I felt like that was fair. Jessie has a successful small business, makes jewelry. She doesn't need an inheritance. My mom told me I was being very disrespectful, and it was her business how she divided up everything. She said she left what she felt was fair to me, my sister, and my brother. I screamed at her that she was clearly playing favorites, and if she wants to see her grandkids again, she should consider her will. James didn't agree with everything, but he thought that Jessie shouldn't get our childhood home. It has more room for a family, not a single woman and rabbit. I haven't spoken to my mom or Jessie since then. Our family members are saying I need to respect my mom's choice, and my husband said to let it go. Am I the a-hole? Edit. For those of you saying my brother and I have constantly asked my mom for money, that's not true. My mom provided money for the kids and paid only for our weddings as gifts. We didn't ask for it. Any other exchanges were only emergencies, such as medical bills, or if we couldn't afford something. She always told us we didn't have to pay this money back to her. It's her job as mother to look after her children. Lastly, I spoke with my mother. I said she was free to see the kids, but I'm still not happy with this. She can set up trust funds for the kids, or work them into the will or pay for college. Even suggested the house is put into all our names instead of just Jessie's. If anything, I can just contest the will should the time come. My parents worked very hard to provide us with a good lifestyle, and it's only fair my children and my niece and nephew get to experience that too. Jessie will be fine. I'm sorry none of you are privileged enough to understand. Wow, entitled much? Super, you're the a-hole. It is not your money. Extremely selfish to try to manipulate your mother into giving you what you want by holding the grandkids over her head. You mentioned the rabbit like 10 times. How bitter are you about your life, ma'am? Get over yourself. You're the a-hole. You sound greedy and judgmental. Your mother is right about how disrespectful you are. Given how you reacted, I'm not surprised the rabbit gets more than you do. You threw a tantrum and threatened to keep the grandkids from her. Huge, you're the a-hole. I am curious as to why she split the money this way, and get the feeling there are issues you did not talk about. Either way, it is her money and property, and she can do with it as she likes. A little background. My sister ran into financial issues about 6 years ago. She lost her job and her boyfriend was transferred out of state. So they moved into a house together, but my sister couldn't be added to the mortgage because of her awful credit score. Her boyfriend passed away suddenly and had no will. His family then took the house and gave back some money my sister put into the house, but they told her to be grateful for getting that much. My mother had just come into some money, so she got a house for my sister and her 2 kids. For the first year, my mom covered everything for the house. About 2 years ago, I took my mom into a home because of health issues and took over pretty much everything for her. I realized that my mom was still paying all the taxes on the home when my sister started complaining that she was getting all these scam calls and letters about unpaid taxes. I looked at a few and talked with her, realizing she had no idea what property taxes were. I went over my mom's accounts and found she was paying property taxes since my sister moved in, and even some renovations to the house. My mother decided to continue to pay for the back taxes, but I got my sister to begin paying them herself. Our mom passed away a few months ago, and I'm still trying to sort through her affairs. Her will states everything is going to be split 50-50 between the 2 of us. While working, I found out my mom put both her and my sister's name on the deed of the house. After talking with my lawyer, I found out the house was technically owned 50-50 with my sister and my mother, meaning I could claim 25% of the house or value of the house in the estate. I was going through some things with my sister last Sunday, and I asked her if she wanted me to take half of the renovation costs that my mom paid towards her house out of the inheritance. I explained that I did not feel it was fair that she was being enriched by the renovations and getting the house for free as well. She got upset, saying Mom's will states that everything needs to be split 50-50, and that's how it should be. I brought up that I wasn't even asking for the taxes, which would add on at least an extra $50,000. She remained firm, and I shrugged, saying, well, I guess I will just settle for 25% of your house. She demanded to know why, and I explained that Mom owned 50% of the house, so half of that is 25%. She got mad and is now blasting me to the family, and some understand my point, but others told me I am being greedy. But I don't feel like handing over $150,000 to my sister for nothing, but I was willing to settle for half the renovation costs of $50,000. So am I the a-hole for asking for part of my sister's house? Not the a-hole for asking for your part of the inheritance, which is just 25% of the house. Anything else is not relevant to the state of your mother's estate at her time of death. But you really ought to talk to a lawyer to make sure that claiming a share in the house doesn't put you on the hook for back taxes, etc. You need a lawyer to get this sorted properly, legally, and fairly. Yes, it will cost some money, but likely less than you will spend otherwise. Not the a-hole. It is not her house. She is only entitled to 50% of it. The renovations are not part of this. They contribute to the value of the house, but it is money already spent, and it isn't part of the estate. Estates don't include all the money the person ever spent in their lives, only what is left today. You only need to look at exactly what is in the estate and split that 50-50. If your sister wants the house all to herself, then she has to accept that 25% either goes to you, or she forfeits other assets to the value of the 25% and gets the house all to herself, which, frankly, would be the most sensible approach for both of you. Not the a-hole. Your mother gave you 50%, which included the percentage of the house, so you now own 25% of the house. If your mother wanted your sister to own the house free and clear, she would have given her sole title on the deed, but she didn't. Your sister already is coming out ahead, based on what your mother gave her, and you shouldn't feel guilty for following the provisions of the will. I, 54 female, crochet. People who have seen my work say it's heirloom, museum quality, so I'm not just going off my own opinion that it's good. My husband, John, 47 male. Names are fake. And I've been married for 17 plus years. Together 5 more before that. John is the oldest, then John's sister, Samantha, 46. Then their much younger half-brothers, Rob, 38, and Seth, 36. Thus, I have considered Rob and Seth family since they were kids. I often crochet for family. Samantha asked me to make a beach cover-up. Mother-in-law asked for a sweater. They've each received Afghans and scarves. One cousin got a baby Afghan, another a set of placemats, etc. All of those items were well received. Also, John has several scarves, and we have Afghans all over the house. Everything was fine until Rob married Joanne 3 years ago. John and I bought them 2 things off their registry at $25. I also got them a set of napkin rings and made them a matching set of 8 coasters, 8 napkins, and a tablecloth. Between store-bought items, materials purchased, time invested, I'd value the whole gift set at over $5,000. John and I got a note signed by just Rob, thanking us for the gift. Joanne didn't like the crocheted items. They weren't store-bought and didn't fit her aesthetic. Rob and Joanne had a baby boy, Charlie, 1 year later. For the shower, I made 2 baby Afghans. I wasn't able to attend due to cancer, chemo. I'm in remission now, but sent the gift via mother-in-law. Never got so much as a thank you. I saw, 3 months after Charlie was born, a cute pattern for a baby sweater, hoodie. I had some extra red and green yarn, so I made it for Charlie. Again, sending it via mother-in-law, who was babysitting. Joanne sent a message back via mother-in-law. Thanks, but I'm not exposing Charlie to bright colors. So if you send any more handmade junk for him, could it at least be in the muted colors that I prefer? Seth and Diane are engaged and the wedding's in July. I was planning on, again, buying a couple of small things from the registry, but also making a tablecloth with a different pattern, which is honestly much more intricate than the one I made for Rob and Joanne. I have quite a bit of it done. But now I am hearing from mother-in-law and Samantha that the last time they babysat for Charlie, Diane and Joanne were complaining about the ornaments, laughing about the kitschy-made crap I'd made for Rob and Joanne's wedding, and saying how Diane would likely get the same. The dictionary says kish is art in poor taste, yet with a certain ironic appeal. I don't think my work fits that, but far be it from me to force things on people who won't appreciate them. So would I be the a-hole if rather than giving Seth and Diane the tablecloth plus something small from the registry, a gift equivalent to what Rob and Diane got from us, we just buy something off the registry, And since I'll finish it anyway, give the tablecloth to my best friend instead. Honestly, I'll probably cave, because I do love Seth. It's partly for him, and Diane's comments aren't his fault. But, not the a-hole. Save your talents and the love that goes into them for those that appreciate the gifts. If Seth says anything, just tell him that you understand Diane doesn't prefer homemade gifts, and you respect that. Offer to make him something personal, like a sweater or hats and gloves. Give the tablecloth to your best friend, where it will find a loving home. A very gentle "you're the a-hole." You need to change your perspective on gift giving. People have different tastes and styles, and the purpose of a gift is to bring joy to the person receiving it. I, for example, have 0 crochet items in my home, and believe me, it's no accident. If a new in-law were to completely ignore my own tastes and suddenly start gifting me crochet pieces that change a room, it would tell me that they have 0 interest in who I am or what I like. Your relatives should have found a polite way to express that they don't want such gifts, but please stop what you're doing and stick to the registry. Ma'am, you sound like a very, very nice lady. I love that you have a talent that you're so passionate about, and I'm sure there's so many people who would admire and be grateful for such gifts. But in this case, they're neither wanted nor appreciated. Please stop. Samantha and Diane don't like crochet, whether they've said it to your face or not. And while you're concerned Seth will miss out, I don't know of a single man who'd give 2 hoots and a holler at a tablecloth. Save your work for a friend who will love it as much as you do. I, 26 female, recently started a well-paid job in finance. My family had little money whilst I was growing up. My mom worked several jobs, some involving domestic labor for richer families whose kids I went to school with. My boyfriend, 24 male, and I have a similar background. We both got scholarships to prestigious schools and universities and had the privilege of growing up around money, but neither of us had much of it. We now share a house and expenses. His career is in town, and I spend my weekends in, and I pay double rent throughout the week and commute home from the city to see him. It costs me a lot, but I want to make it work. My job is extremely difficult. I'm talking 16 to 17-hour days with high stress. I landed my bonus and cried at the money in my account. To many people, it might not be a lot, just an ordinary paycheck, but to me, it meant for the first time in my life, I saved enough to have some money at the end of the month to buy something nice for myself. Tonight, I decided to buy my boyfriend a round at a bar. Since he was sat closest to the bar, I handed him my phone. We both know each other's passwords, and told him to get the next round. What I didn't know is that my Apple Pay showed my recent purchases when he paid for the drinks. I bought myself a really nice dress I wanted. It was probably the most expensive dress I'd bought myself, but it was my signing bonus, and I wanted to buy something nice and treat myself. My boyfriend got extremely angry with me. He couldn't believe I'd spent so much on one thing, and said he thought I wanted to do something good with the money I earned. He said it was a ridiculous purchase, and no one needed that. I have offered to take on more of the rent and expenses. I already pay double rent so we can make a life together. He couldn't afford the place in the town alone as we share a room. He doesn't want any of that other than splitting equally, and I accept that. Am I the a-hole for making a lavish purchase with my bonus and pissing off my boyfriend, who took my phone and went through my statements? Sharing expenses is different from pooling income. Sharing expenses just means you each put in a share on the bills. What you do with the rest of the money after the bills are paid is your choice. He has no say in that. Nor should he unless he expects you to have a say in how he uses his money after the bills are paid. Not the a-hole. Sounds like you work so hard you deserve a treat. He should be grateful you're paying for his rent. You only go there at the weekends, so you are basically subsidizing his lifestyle. The least you can do is buy something just for you. I'd be wary of the life ahead if he's so judgmental about your financial decisions. Maybe you two are not as matched as you think you are. You used your bonus to celebrate. He thinks you should have saved it. Relationship red flag when partners do not have the same philosophy about money. Do you see yourself marrying him and him being the father of your children? Yes? Then go to joint premarital counseling. No? Then let it go. And you need to stop paying double rent. Not the a-hole. I, female 38, have been married to my husband, male 45, for 7 years. We have 2 kids together, 5 female and 3 female, and I'm currently pregnant with our 3rd child. He also has a daughter from a previous relationship who is 17 years old. Since being with my husband, she at first never liked me and made it known she doesn't like me. I admit at first I was pushy because I wanted her to like me and I wanted to be considered a friend. But I've since apologized and instead show her my love by doing favors for her. Since then, we have had an okay relationship, and I was okay with that, because I wanted to take it at her pace. That being said, me and my husband were talking about how we're going to manage him going to her graduation. She is graduating on June 20th, but my due date is on June 19th. The plan is, if I give birth on time, he would go to the graduation and then come back, but if I didn't, then he would spend the whole day with her. We told her our plan and told her regardless, her father would be at her graduation, but there's a chance he may have to leave after. This got her super upset, and she started yelling that she could never have her dad for herself, and she deserves to have the dad for the whole day. Then she told me she was tired of me having kids left and right, and was stealing her dad away. She ended her argument by saying that she hated me, and that she wished the baby wouldn't come into this world. And after what she said, I haven't been doing anything for her. Whenever she asks for anything, I say, ask her mom and dad. Whenever she needs money, I say the same thing. I can't get over the fact she wished death on my child. I've been getting texts from her mom saying that she didn't mean it, and that she's a kid, and she shouldn't be held responsible for something said out of anger, but I believe she's old enough to know what she's doing and saying. Edit. A lot of you guys are saying I'm an a-hole for taking time to myself. She made it clear that I mean nothing to her, and even went as far as to wish my child would never be born. I'm not going to let someone disrespect me and then come around and do everything for them. She can go to her mother and father since she holds them so highly. Thank you to the people who say to focus on myself and my pregnancy. I will, and of course my 2 other kids. I don't know if I can stay with my husband because of him not sticking up for me, and we may separate for a bit, meaning he would have to find somewhere else to stay since I own the home. As for the people saying she didn't ask for me to come into her life, and for other siblings, that's something she needs to take to her father. He was the one who married me, and the one who impregnated me. As for the ones asking if I have a step-parent, yes, I did. My mother remarried when I was 12, and I was always respectful. We have a great relationship, and I consider him my kid's granddad. Another edit. No, I didn't get pregnant in spite of her. It was in the moment, and we weren't thinking about her graduation. And for the people saying she deserves to have her dad for the day, she can. I don't care anymore. I'll always be seen as the bad guy because I want my husband with me if I give birth. Either way, he can spend the whole day with her if he likes, and I'll just have my friend be with me. Not the a-hole. She is old enough to think before she speaks. If she feels that she is not spending enough time with her dad, then she needs to talk to him about it. What she said was completely cruel. She's definitely old enough to be held up to what she has said. It's fine to be mad at her, but remember, she's your husband's child. She'll be in your life for as long as you're with him. Take your time, but eventually, you and her gotta have a conversation on your relationship. Have you considered family therapy? Not the a-hole. She's 17 years old, not 7. She needs to apologize immediately. It says a lot about her parents that her mom is trying to make excuses for her entitled selfish daughter, instead of punishing her and making her do the right thing.